an overview of the project. DIH-World is a project which wants to accelerate the uptake of digital technologies by the European manufacturing SMEs in any sector of activity. This is important. The idea of the project is to work with DIHs so that we help them to improve their services and the level of services they are providing to SMEs, so that they can better help the SMEs to be more digitalized, let's say. So in order to do this, there are certain objectives that we want to achieve with this project. This is a 3 years project. Okay, we are already in month 9 of implementation, and the idea is, as I said, to create or by working with DIHs, to be able to create a network of DIHs, stronger network of DIHs around Europe, so that they can help the SMEs in any country and in any sector of activity. Very briefly, the partners of the project are those you see there. What is important here to mention is that we have already established and within the project a very strong network of DIHs from all countries in Europe. And we have 8 pilot experiments. We will see today 2 of those, the results of 2 of those, which have been used, these pilot experiments, of course, for the pilots themselves, just as normal experiments. So the idea is to help the SMEs to digitalize themselves. But for the project as such, it has or they have helped us a lot to better define the open call that we are launching today. This is the network of DIHs involved in the project. Well, as you see, we have relevant DIHs in almost all countries in Europe. All the information is available on the website, so you can also contact them if needed. So some of the activities of DIH-World. This is important to understand because the experiments we are looking for, you will get the details afterwards, but we want DIHs involved in the experiments not only to work with the SME and develop the experiment, the particular experiment, whatever it is, but also to work with the network of DIHs that are already included in the project. So that's why one of the objectives of the project is to have this. Now we have 26 or 27 DIHs, to have at least 70 DIHs at the end of the project, working together in different activities, such as the academy that we have. This academy providing training and mentoring support services to DIHs will be open to the DIHs selected via the open call. Some of the activities will also open to any DIH, not only, or will not only restricted to those participating in the project, but also to others. So even if you submit an experiment that you are not successful being selected, you can always get some information or additional information via the academy of the project. Then we have other types of activities that are oriented, as I mentioned before, to increase the level of the services provided by DIHs. One of those, we have others, but one of those is what we call the twinning scheme, in which we are or we have already defined a way in which DIHs can collaborate together and develop better services which can be maybe filling the gaps of one of those DIHs, but using the expertise and knowledge of the other DIH, or increasing their better services. So the idea is that they improve in any way. Then, of course, DIHs work with SMEs in the project. One of these is the technology needs assessment that are going to be done with several SMEs. Then there are certain events organized by the DIHs in order to be in contact with the stakeholders, and also collaborating with other DIHs in such events. This is not mentioned here, but this is also one of the activities there. All these activities oriented to the creation and maintenance and promotion of that network of DIHs. And then, of course, we have the open calls. The first one to be launched, opened today, as you will see. And then we have the experiments. As I mentioned before, we have 8 pilot experiments already in the project, and we will select another 45 via the open calls. These 8 pilot experiments involving 8 SMEs and 8 DIHs in the project are covering those countries there. You see there we are open to any manufacturing sector, but the ones we have are focused on food production, construction, and maritime technologies or sectors. Sorry, and then the technologies involved are many. This is our project is not focused on a particular technology as other projects are. So here we are looking for any technology in basically any manufacturing sector, although we have our preferences, as you will see. But the idea is to better digitalize the SMEs in taking advantage of the digital technologies. So this is an overview of our plans. So we are going to fund, if we find 35 good experiments via the first open call, so that we will have 43 experiments running during 1 year and a half, more or less. And the DIHs involved will be also participating in different activities of the project, as I mentioned before. And then the second open call, which will be exactly the same month, more or less, but next year we will fund another 10 additional experiments. So this is my overview. Now just to back to the agenda. So now Marie will explain you about the first open call, and then we will enter into these 2 particular examples of experiments carried out, and then we will have some time for questions and answers. So I thank you everyone for attending, and see you afterwards. So Marie.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Marie Bourdon. I work at CARSA as well, and we're very pleased to present today the first open call. You can see my slides correctly, right?
No, we see the
presentation mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, great. That it works, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this first open call, we are looking for innovative experiments across Europe. What is an innovative experiment? Well, it is an experiment carried out by a DIH and an SME, and the objective is to integrate digital technology in the processes, products, or services of the manufacturing SME. So this is what we are looking for this first open call. We are welcoming any application from the manufacturing sector with a special focus on wood, food products, construction, and maritime. In terms of technologies, we are welcoming all the technologies from I4MS initiative, and in particular, the ones that are indicated on the slide. So artificial intelligence, laser, data analytics, 3D printing, smart modeling, all the technologies that you can see here. So what's in for the consortium joining the DIH-World initiative? Well, there is a funding of up to 95,000 euros available for each consortium carrying out an innovative experiments. For the SME, this is a great opportunity to integrate new technologies and to actually make a good use of this technology to improve processes, products, or services. And for the DIHs, it's a great opportunity to put into practice the test before invest services, and to also join the DIH-World Academy that we are actually implementing right now, where you will get access to more tools and different support documents to improve the DIH's services. So this is what we are offering. In terms of eligibility criteria, well, we are looking for entities located in any EU 27 member states or Horizon 2020 associated countries. All the proposals must be submitted in English, and any other languages will be excluded. The proposal will be submitted within the stipulated deadline. And it has to be complete. So for that, we have a proposal template that I will present in the next slide. So we'll have a good overview, and we're expecting this template to be completed so we can evaluate your proposal. And then we are looking for organizations, so DIH and SMEs, as we define them in the guide for applicants. So you will have an overview of this in the next slides as well. So we are looking for a consortium of DIH and SMEs, and all the details of the eligibility criteria are available in the guide for applicants. All right, so in terms of dates and timeline for this call, so we are launching the call today. All the documents will be available on the website and on the evaluation management system platform. And the call will be open for 2 months and a half. So during these 2 months and a half, we will be organizing more webinars. We will be answering more questions. We will keep updated the frequently asked questions documents that will be available also on the website. Then we'll have the evaluation process. So the call will close on the 15th of July, and we will have the evaluation process starting right after that until the 15th of September. And then we will let everyone knows about the result of the evaluation by mid-September. The objective is to start the experiments in October. So to help you with this call for experiments, we developed supporting documentation. This call supporting documentation includes a guide for applicants that will include all the details that you need to prepare to answer to this call. We also prepared a call proposal template. So this is the document that we will be expecting you to fill in to apply to the call. And we also have a frequently asked question documents that we will keep updated during these 2 months and a half that the call will be open. So every time we will receive questions, we will include them, and everyone will have the same information to prepare the call. So regarding the guide for applicants, so just to give you a short overview, so in this document we present the world, we also present the I4MS initiative in which this the world project is part of. Then we will go into the detail of the open call for experiments, what we're expecting from each experiment, what are the mandatory tasks that you should be carrying out, what are the deliverables that we will expect from you. Then we'll go again into the details of what's in for you with some detailed information regarding the budget and how to organize yourself as a consortium. We also present all the evaluation and selection details of this call for proposal, and also how to submit your proposal on the evaluation management system platform. So you have all the information that you need to prepare a very good proposal and to submit it to this call for. So now I will go a bit more in depth into the proposal template, so to explain how it is structured and what we're expecting you to prepare. So it is important for you to know that we're expecting a document of around 10 pages. We will not evaluate more than 10 pages for the proposal. So it's very a short application, which is very simple and straightforward for you to fill in. And it is divided in three sections, which are technical excellence, impact, and implementation. So now I'll go one by one into the details of each section. So on the left side of the screen, you can see the sections of the proposal template. And on the right side, you can see the evaluation criterion and what we will be expecting in these sections. So the first one is excellence. So in these sections, we want to know the objective of the experiments. We want to have an overview of the experiments. What is it that you will be doing? What are your expectations? And we want to know more about the scientific and technological excellence of your experiments. In terms of evaluation, we expect you to present clear objectives that your proposal is aligned with the DIH-World objectives. It addresses the sectors and the technologies that we're targeting. We want to know all the details of your experiments, the description of each of the member of the consortium, and we want you to demonstrate innovation capacity to improve the current processes, products, or services. So we want to know what you will be doing in these experiments. In the second section, we'll be looking into impact. So here we are expecting what is the expected impact for the SME, but also what is expected for the DIH. We want to have a dissemination and exploitation plan, and we want to know if you will also be carrying out cross-border activities. In terms of evaluation, well, we want to see how the experiments will allow the SME to increase its digitalization level. We want to see clear technological, economic, and commercial impacts. We're expecting also to include some KPIs. We want to see how you will contribute to the goals of the DIH. So here in this case is how you will be implementing the test before invest services, or we want to see the benefits for the SME, but also for the DIH. And we will be looking at your dissemination and exploitation plan, ensuring that it is appropriate for the experiment. Finally, the last section of the proposal is the implementation part. So in this section, we want to see a work plan, how you will be organizing tasks to carry out this experiment. We also expect the budget of the experiment and presentation of the teams that will be carrying out these experiments. So we expect a very coherent and clear work plan. We want you to demonstrate your capacity to implement these innovative experiments. Be it in terms of personnel or infrastructure, and we want to see the appropriateness of the consortium members. So these are the three main topics that we'll be looking at in your template. So as I just presented, you can see here the evaluation and selection criteria, which I already presented them in the slides before, so I will not go again into this, but these are the three complementary criteria we'll be looking at when evaluating your innovative experiment. And we also define some threshold and priority for each of the sections. So each section of the proposal template will be evaluated with a score of 0 to 5. And we define a threshold for each of the section and a priority in case we have two proposal with the same scores. So this is it, and you have all this information also in the guide for applicants. So if you have any doubts, you can always check what is included in the guide for applicants. In terms of evaluation and selection, so once the call closed on the 15th of July, a first eligibility check will be run automatically by the platform that we'll be using. And then your innovative experiments proposal will be evaluated against the 3 evaluation criteria by 2 experts. All the evaluation will be done online, and everyone will receive an evaluation summary report at the end of the evaluation. Once all the proposals are evaluated, we will have a ranking of the best proposals, and from this ranking, we will select the first experiments that will get the better scores, and we will also take into account the geographical and sectorial aspects of the proposals. So 3 steps, and everything will be carried out by September, so the innovative experiments can start already in October. So as I mentioned before, we have a final document, which is a frequently asked question documents. It already includes some questions that you might have, and it will be completed. So we will be creating new versions of this document, and it will be available on the website and on the evaluation platform as well. So finally, so for you to know, all the documents are available on the DIH-World website, but also on the DIH-World evaluation platform. The evaluation platform has been launched today. It is you can already register as a proposer on the platform. On this platform, we will ask you to fill in some details regarding your organizations, regarding your consortium. Then you will be able to download the Word template that I just presented, and you will, from this Word, you can complete it directly offline and submit it once it's ready on the EMS platform. What is important to know that you should send your application as soon as you can, and only the latest version of your proposal will be evaluated. So you can submit many times, and only the final version will be evaluated in the call. And it is very intuitive, and you will find all the information of this on this platform. So I think this is my last slide for today. So I thank you very much for your time. So this is the overview of the call. I'm pretty sure you will have some questions, but I suggest that we continue with the presentation of the 2 experiments that we are very pleased to present today. And at the end of the session, we will have some time for questions and answers. So thank you very much, and I will now leave the floor to Jorge Galvan from the CD Hub in Canarias for the presentation of their experiments. Thank you.
Hello, Marie. Thank you. Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. I'll try to share my screen. Can you see the presentation? Can you see the presentation mode?
Yes, Jorge, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, first of all, to Carsa for allowing us to be here today and present what we have been doing. Actually, we are still doing in order to finish our experiment within the DIH-World project, okay, whose title is Cybersecurity and Big Data-Based Solution for Customer-Centered Design of Wines in the Canary Islands. So I will try to follow the agenda which was foreseen, presenting some first contest introduction to have a general overview on which were the main objectives for the experiment running. Then we'll jump into some overview of how we are doing that and our experiment implementation details, okay, in order to know a little bit more on the solutions which are being implemented. And then we will present some final results and KPIs that we are achieving. So the experiment was developed in collaboration between, on one side, the Canary Islands Digital Innovation Hub, which is known as City Hub, and which has the goal of connecting technology providers with entrepreneurs, SMEs, and also mid-caps here in our region in order to foster their transition to digital transformation in general. The hub works over some main strategic sectors for the region, such as tourism, agri-food, or blue economy in general. In this sense, we try to promote the uptake of technologies like cybersecurity, HPC, artificial intelligence, among others. On the other side, in the experiment, we counted on the participation of the company Bodegas Monge, which is a family-run winery here dating from 1750. For you to have a general idea, they process and market around 200,000 bottles per year with 14 different types of wines under the protected designation of origin Canary Islands wine. So technically speaking, the experiment was focused on data collection and big data analysis and visualization for optimizing customer-centered design of wines, making use of cybersecurity and big data tools. To be more concrete, by customer-centered design of wines, we mean that Bodega Monge intends to produce and offer a product, the wine itself, as much as possible customized to the customer expectative, okay, which is kind of critical in this wine industry. Then the role of the winery was providing the ground, in this case, for designing, implementing, and validating the proposed digital solutions with the technical support, in this case, of the City Hub. And of course, the local technology provided that we selected in order to support them in this process. The experiment took place, as I said, in the winery facilities owned by Bodegas Monge, which is located in the island of Tenerife, and was expected to have impact not only on wine production, but also in other agricultural businesses in the Canary Islands, to which we think this kind of technologies, digital technologies, can be extended to as well. Okay, so from a more technical and business-oriented perspective, some objectives coming out of the experiment execution are relating to obtaining a more robust IT network, able to back, of course, the company's daily business, implementing new IT systems at the winery itself, which are well secured in general terms. We are talking about internal data, clients' information, security in payments, etc. And of course, offer that security payments to customers, for example. And also being capable of offering better products or services based on actual requirements and needs from their customers. For that, the experiment followed a well-structured process throughout 3 main phases, which covered the 3 working domains involved in the pilot. That is the IT network itself, the cybersecurity platform, and also the big data customer-centered solution. And for each of those, different steps were followed, such as the initial analysis, specification, and design of not only the infrastructures, but also the software, the tools itself, the selection of the hardware equipment to be installed, the implementation of the final solutions previously developed or even customized for them, and then the final testing and validation of the technologies and the platform. So dipping into some more details, there are two main digital solutions that have been developed and implemented and integrated into one single platform. On one side, we have the cybersecurity solution adapted to the actual requirements of Bodegas Monge and to the specific IT equipment installed. Here the experiment developed the main dashboard for the company, where the main characteristics and features can be visualized, okay? So the main widgets have to do with the analysis, on one hand, the analysis of customer physical behavior, okay? We are mainly talking about position and traffic of the people within the winery facilities, and then together with the network traffic analysis in order to detect any kind of cybersecurity issues. There is even an option for, where the company, Bodegas Monge, can see and analyze the flow of customers in the building and the relation somehow between places and users. And on the other side, we also implemented or are in the process of implementing a big data-based solution designed to collect, store, analyze, and really make business decisions based on the customer feedback, which allows, in the end of the day, the winery to analyze their visitors' behavior and kind of understand their opinion, aggregating and digesting, analyzing big data, and even provide personalized options for each customer, okay? As you can see in the screenshots, there is also a dashboard for this kind of functionalities as exposed there. Here, in order to have a proper understanding of the results achieved and benefits gained somehow, we can say that Bodegas Monge was already an advanced winery in the local market, making use of innovative methods in terms of agri-food production. Here we can talk about advanced machinery and processes, and also in the areas of marketing and sales, okay, with new and fresh marketing procedures and so on. However, the scenario at the company before implementing the experiment had some clear areas for improvement and digital progress itself. So concerning the infrastructure, the winery was making use of a complete but maybe old-fashioned and even poor IT network, unable to backing the whole experiment. Regarding the cybersecurity aspect, they had no security tools installed at all, making the whole business platform a bit weak, and even customers' data easily accessible, okay, normally from external undesired sources. And with respect to the design of new products and services and the big data domain that we have been working on, the winery had a structure and basic protocols, let's say, to capture and analyze customers' opinions and requirements, needs in general. So they collected customer information in a very informal manner with, let's say, no tracking and no feedback during the process. So it was what they called personal evaluation, which was personal but not productive at all. At this point, with the new scenario at Bodegas Monge, after the experiment implementation, of course, the company will have, or is at the moment having, a modern and completely secure network at this moment, being totally certain that the internal information about the businesses and also the store data about customers are both secure and kind of protected. In fact, we expected that Bodegas Monge will be able or will be at the forefront of cybersecurity applied to what are the regular SMEs in the Canary Islands in this sense, and being also best practice for the city hub that we'll try to use to extend the need and aim of digital transformation among local companies in our region. But on top of that, Bodegas Monge is now making also use of a modern customer-centered design platform, which was from the very beginning one of the main goals of the pilot. Okay, a platform that allows them to gather data from clients, and therefore the winery is now able to design and launch new products and services well adapted to the actual needs of their customers. Here, in order to have a better understanding or idea of some indicators achieved, okay, some impactful results, we can also highlight some relevant KPIs achieved as a consequence of the pilot, such as there were, for example, 2 new digital tools implemented. We can count up to 5 different business units or departments affected by the new processes implemented and thus digitalized. We're talking about mainly production, administration, marketing, innovation, sales, and also everything which has to do with the customer relation. Then we also estimate a reduction from 20 to 15% in the investment required for maintenance costs over their total budget of the production facility in a whole year. And last but not least, a reduction from 5 to 4.5, around 4.5 percentage measured in total production hours, okay, in the amount of time spent on quality control procedures, which are normally carried out in their facilities. And to finish, finally, we believe that this kind of digital solution may have a wide impact on the regional industry, and thus it may be implemented in many other wine-related companies and beyond what we think are around 300 wineries here in our local market, and also as well as adapted to other strong local agri-food sectors, such as, for example, tobacco. So this is all on my side. Thank you very much. I'm open to any question that you may have, and I will give the floor back to Marie or the next experiment presenting. I will try to stop sharing my screen.
Thanks a lot, Jorge.
Okay.
We'll now move to Ireland with an experiment presented by Brendan Shepherd and Ricardo.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Brendan Shepherd. I'm the CEO of Smart Factory based in Ireland. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, briefly, it's a complex project, but briefly just to present the project that we've done with our partner DIH-Hub in Ireland, Cedar. Before I get into the project, I just wanted to touch a little bit about some of the challenges that are facing digital transformation in manufacturing. So our focus from our business is very much on the manufacturing sector. Digital transformation, everybody's talking about it, but lots of companies are struggling with it. And one of the things that we've adopted this from the Aachen University, and I think it really sums up a lot of the challenges that companies are facing. From our perspective, to enable digital transformation, there's a couple of 3 things that need to be in place. One, the leadership needs to have a really clear vision of what the value of digital transformation is going to bring. What problems are people trying to solve? So there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of nonsense, really, if I'm honest, about digital transformation, and particularly in the manufacturing sector. So I think it's really important that people are very clear on what, the benefits in terms of productivity, efficiency, competitiveness are huge, but it's really more about the problems rather than the solution. And then I suppose from our perspective, the focus should be what business value will you create? If you're able to fix these problems, then what business value can you create? And then the final bit that I think is really important is around the culture. So not every organization is ready. And we believe that all of digital transformation really should start around operational excellence. If the operational excellence, if the culture is not there, then adding the digital technology doesn't necessarily fix the problem. So our view is very much start with the strategy and then talk about the technology. Okay, so that's the background. The objective of this experiment, it's a manufacturing site. It's a baby food plant, and the company had a very strong culture of operational excellence. So everything we did had to support that excellence. They were already gathering an awful lot of data, but a lot of the data was manually gathered. Some of the systems, the equipment was new, within the last few years, but some of the machines on site are maybe up to 20 years old. So we needed to be able to develop a solution that was going to be able to connect to legacy equipment as well as modern equipment. The solution that they wanted from us had to be scalable, so we had to be able to install something as part of the experiment, but then also to be able to expand it out into other areas. Like Jorge has mentioned, cybersecurity and data integrity are really important. So again, that was a very fundamental part of the design of the architecture. And then once we had this data, the objective was that we wanted to be able to dig deeper into the data using AI and machine learning algorithms to really get value out of the data. Okay, so the implementation. So the process, it's what's called an industrial spray dryer. So this is a large cyclone type structure that takes in liquid milk basically and other formulated ingredients and makes it into baby food. And this is a process that's used across pharma, across the food sector. So this is a very common process in food and pharmaceutical production. But the energy consumption is very significant in this. So the first phase of the project was to put the infrastructure in place to be able to connect to all of these different temperatures and sensors and pressures. And then there was a lot of data missing. So we had to put in, using our IoT platform, we had to put in data collectors around the site and wireless sensors to bring all of the data together so we could create a real clear picture of what was happening. And these are the dashboards and examples of the dashboards that we were created from this process. This spray dryer is based in Ireland, but it's one of the largest spray dryers globally. So it's really, the scale is very significant. It consumes over 15 million euros a year in terms of energy. So very significant energy consumption. We connected, using our data collection system, we connected to about 1,200 process variables, temperatures, electricity, gas, steam, water, all of these different parameters. And for the scope of the experiment, we focused on about 6 million data points. Okay, so the first phase was to gather the data, and the second phase then was to investigate if we could use advanced data analytics to identify how does the energy consumption vary per product, and then see could we help to identify opportunities to reduce the energy consumption. Okay, so the results then, so working with CEDAR, and I'm going to introduce you to Ricardo in a moment, but working with CEDAR, we were able to use their data modeling to look at the raw data in our data collector. We call that a historian, and to be able to use the data without having to process the data or clean the data or do any modification of the data. They were able to take that raw data set and actually start to build a model directly from that. So that was the first success. The second success was that we were able to look at all of the different products and identify how come some products take more or less energy than others, and that was really key. So when we started out, the customer had just a standard, average energy consumption per year per ton of product, and now we're able to say we know precisely, this D45 is a code for a product that takes 20-something% more energy than the average, and this product here is lower because of these. So now we have a much more detailed understanding of how the energy consumption varies by all the different, there's over 60 products manufactured on site. So the next steps then, and this is really, we've only just touched the tip of the iceberg really, and the company, the customer is very excited about the opportunities of what we could do next with them. So the next phase is to look and see, could we use a combination of our IoT sensors and more artificial intelligence to predict behavior, to look at, say, so they get these blockages or these, what they call a choke in the system where material builds up, and it's a really significant problem when this occurs. So could we use a combination of the sensors and machine learning to say, something is about to go wrong here, stop the process and fix it? Could we use it to detect behavior that's out of range? So for example, if they get a burst water pipe or a burst air pipe or a valve that leaks or something, again, could we learn, and you can't just look at it and say this is the average, because these process variables are fluctuating dramatically. So could we use machine learning to learn what the normal behavior is, and then to predict when something is acting out of that range? And finally, could we use vibration sensors, for example, to predict equipment failure? Okay, so that's the very brief overview of the project. I'm now going to hand you over to Ricardo Carvalho. He's the head of innovation in Ireland's DIH hub called CEDAR. So over to you, Ricardo. I'm not sure if you're there, Ricardo.
Oh, there it is. I was muted. So yeah, it's actually Ricardo Simón Carvalho. But anyway, everyone gets my father's surname. Being Spanish, that's the perks, that you have to have, when you're working in Ireland. But anyway, so yeah, as Brendan has said, I'm the head of innovation in CEDAR, and I will briefly mention who we are in CEDAR. It's a perspective for other SMEs and even other DIHs of what Digital Innovation Hub is. So next, please, Brendan. So basically, you have heard about these Digital Innovation Hubs, but maybe some of you don't know what they are. There is a lot of emphasis in Europe and at national level in different countries for putting, more kind of funds, and more efforts in supporting these Digital Innovation Hubs. And why? Because they are hybrid kind of agencies or centers, which are closer to research, but also closer to industry. For example, CEDAR is based here in UCD and TU Dublin, two of the largest universities in Ireland. But also, even though we are based there and we do research, everything we do, it's applied research. So as you can see here, Enterprise Ireland and IDA Ireland, they are the two main agencies, governmental agencies in Ireland that promote industry, right? So they are there to channelize funding to help any kind of SME in digitalization, in AI, and in other areas, okay? So the thing is, for CEDAR, as a Digital Innovation Hub, we are funded by these governmental agencies to help companies, okay? But the thing is, we do research, but everything we do is applied, and it's for the benefit of these companies. And that's why there is a lot of emphasis in Digital Innovation Hubs at national level, and there will be more at European level, and you will see it, more and more. One of the proofs is just the DIH-World project, which is creating this stronger DIH network and supporting specifically SMEs in manufacturing. Proof of that, for example, of who we are, is that we have been established for more than 7-8 years, okay, as a technology center, but as a DIH specialized in artificial intelligence. So we work in many different areas of machine learning, deep learning, applied, for example, to computer vision, natural language processing, text analytics, lot of predictive maintenance as well, and so on. And as proof of that, we have been awarded with the Big Data Value Association iSpace, the Gold 1, the top category, which basically it's the Big Data Value Association is the main association in machine learning, AI, big data in Europe, and they have this iSpace, which is more or less a synonym to a Digital Innovation Hub. And also we were selected, CEDAR was selected as the top 30 Digital Innovation Hubs in artificial intelligence in Europe as part of the AIA DIH network. This was an initiative promoted by the European Commission to select these top 30 DIH in AI in Europe. It was actually run by PwC, by CARSA, and by Innovalia to create this kind of early ecosystem and selecting, which AI DIHs could actually help create this kind of a start basic network to expand on, and let's just learn, how we can collaborate together. DIH-World, for example, is another main project focused on creating these DIH networks in Europe. So if we move forward there, Brendan, to the next slide. Just for SMEs to know, these DIHs like CEDAR provide a set of services. Some of them are more mature, others are newer, right, offering the services, though they don't provide all of them. But in summary, these are the services that most of the DIHs provided and the CEDAR provides. We gave access to R&D, okay, but apply, and we also developing technology. For example, in CEDAR, we have more than 70 proof of concepts that all member companies can use, and we develop products, one-to-one products for companies. We provide access to infrastructure. For example, we have the state-of-the-art huge computing facilities, more than 250,000 euro highest performance computing now, that our companies can use it as well to test before they invest in different solutions. Then also we develop the innovation ecosystem and all the DIHs as well in Europe, as part, for example, of the DIH-World project. But in Ireland, we have created the European Data Science and AI Awards. One of the things that we do a lot is brokerage and consortium development. For example, Brendan with the Smart Factory was part of our network, right? CEDAR network. And we just brought him into the DIH-World consortium to work together on the DIH-World experiment in Ireland. So we do that a lot. We put SMEs together in touch. One of the things that we do very well, and that's why SMEs benefit from, is access to finance. There's a lot of funding in Ireland at national level, and obviously we also help get European funding. One of them, for example, is the experiments that are presented today. Market intelligence, we follow the market, and as part of our regular webinars and our kind of program for our SMEs, we provide these insights. And the two key kind of services as well is training and education. This is key now in Europe, training the companies in AI manufacturing, and the DIH-World have a program specifically for that as well, the academy. And also we incubate services, we incubate the startups, we incubate the startups in CEDAR. Next, Brendan. In terms of experiment, I'm going to give you a very small, a very quick overview of what happened there. So as I said, CEDAR and Smart Factory came into the project. They are together to create the Iris DIH-World experiment that Brendan has described. To be honest, DIH-World gave us an opportunity to work together for the first time, even though we knew each other. We wanted to do it for a long time, but now was the opportunity. There was funding there was the drive, and there was the goal there. And one of the things which was very important as part of the DIH-World was the definition of the experiment. And one of the things that we did, and I do with a lot of companies, is just assess the maturity, right? The maturity of the digital and AI maturity of the company. So in conversations with Brendan, I could actually see that Brendan is not at the early stage. He was a little bit more advanced than other companies, right? Which is good, because he had all of this data collected, understand the market, understand the problem, understand all of these companies, and was working with all of that. But he's at this stage where he had to move into more applying, in machine learning, AI, to actually get more benefits, the real power, and least the real power of all of this data. So then we defined the problem and the opportunity to apply AI and machine learning. For example, to determine, as Brendan was saying, the energy consumed per ton of products, that this applies to many kind of areas within the manufacturing sector, not just the dryers, the particular experiment that we conducted with the spray dryers. Also, it's very important, for many companies to identify which process or variables within this data impact the energy consumption there. And then at the end of the day, one of the main interesting things for this company, and particularly for Brendan, is to know how machine learning can actually help their business and can actually help their clients. So one of the things that we did before, the experiment started is just assessing the data, talking to Brendan and see, what sort of data he had, because it's very problematic sometimes when you start these kind of experiments with companies that claim that they have this data, is well organized, and then it's a mess to work with. Okay, so in terms of Brendan, it was quite good. And then we defined realistic tasks and milestones for the 6 months of the experiments that could be achieved. We also put data sharing agreements and NDAs with the client company of Brendan. So Brendan is now supporting many companies, but we were using this data from this particular huge company. So next, Brendan. And then the collaboration was very good with Brendan. We had regular meetings, particularly to understand, because we were new to the spray dryer, kind of manufacturing process. And we really need to understand the different, the way, data was sorted, the different stages of the process and so on, right? Also, we need to replicate what Brendan had there. Brendan uses a historian, which is a very fast kind of database for manufacturing. But for data analytics, we kind of use other sort of databases. So we built this pipeline to replicate what Brendan had in his premises there, and then it's plug and play. So for example, in this case, the historian runs on Windows. We have to actually deploy it on Windows, create it because we will work a lot with Linux, and then plug in, our pre-processing capabilities. Even though, as Brendan was saying, there was no need for much pre-processing because the data was good, but still, you have to do sanity checks, you have to do scaling and features. Sometimes you have to prepare it for machine learning modeling. Okay, and that's the beauty. Building a pipeline like that, it's a value in itself for the company and takes a lot of time. Okay. And then we were modeling different things, as Brendan was saying, in terms of energy, to actually come up with these results for the client and for Brendan in a visual way. And the idea was that, as Brendan was saying, we could do loads of things to optimize on energy, right? And recommendations and see what the variable is impacting more in each of the processes. But the idea was that we gave them a short overview of what could be achieved with this, okay? And then from there we can move forward and also establish, the architecture to work together, which we did. So basically, we've achieved that. Everyone is happy, right? So far as I know, right, Brendan and the client. So benefits for the DIHs for us, for CEDAR, is that we have applied the machine learning, the techniques that we know to specific problem manufacturing. Even though we have worked in manufacturing in other areas, this was new to us, which is new domain knowledge for us. Then also we are working with Smart Factory, and there will be a future collaboration with Smart Factory and other companies Smart Factory works with. And then as part of this project, we have access to the DIH-World network, which is a very powerful network, as they say, of 27 DIHs and SMEs, and will be expanding. So it will just give us more opportunities to collaborate in Europe. And way more, opportunities for us as a DIH that will happen, for example, Twining Academy and other things that the DIH-World is promoting. And I think, from my perspective, a Smart Factory, it got a lot of value for the company, all the insights that we produce, right, Brendan? And they are very happy to move forward. Then, by using this experiment, this funding, and working with CEDAR, DIHs and DIH-World as well, they de-risk the investment in machine learning. They tried something before just putting more effort, more time, and even more money into developing their machine learning capabilities. And finally, I think Smart Factory obviously has access to CEDAR and all the ecosystem. So great gives them a great visibility. But now, as part of the DIH-World, they have more visibility in Europe, and I think that will be beneficial for the future in terms of business. So that's the last one. Next, and thank you very much, everyone.
Well, thanks a lot to all of you for presenting these very inspiring experiments, and I hope that the people attending the webinar today will be willing to join the DIH-World community. So I would like to maybe to ask attendees if they have any questions regarding these experiments. You can turn on your microphones or just write them in the chat. We'll be pleased to answer. And if while people are maybe thinking of the questions, maybe we could ask a question maybe to Jorge. I would like to ask you. So, in your opinion, which are the main benefits for SMEs when participating jointly with the DIH in the experiment? We can't hear you. I don't know if you're answering.
Sorry, I was muted. Now?
Yes.
That's okay? Okay, sorry about that. So from a point of view, participating in a call of this kind with hubs can permit SMEs to have some relevant, I would say, benefits. On one hand, we are talking about that the hubs normally, by their nature, let's say, they normally have some consultancy and project management capacities and competences, and the SMEs can themselves benefit from that because they can receive some specialized support, not only, for example, for the application preparation for the call itself, but also during the experiment implementation in terms of management, and even for the signing of the contract, okay, and all that kind of detail before starting the work. And also, as I mentioned, for the experiment implementation, the management itself, and of course the reporting that is foreseen every X months, let's say. That's one side, and on the other hand, I would also talk about the facilitation for SMEs to have easier and more direct access to the technology providers, normally within the region where the companies are operating, okay? Because we are as a hub, we are used to work with different technology providers, and we can easily find for them which is the best solution, okay? In case when the SMEs acts as an end user, okay, trying to adopt and test some kind of digital solution, and in the case they are a provider, technology provider, developing within the experiment concrete technology or solution, they can also, by having access to a hub, they can also access more easily potential final sectors and users where they can test and validate their solutions. And I mean, depending on the different kind of calls that you are applying to and the roles of participants which are required for those calls. From my point of view, those would be the main benefits for SMEs joining a hub within a call like this.
All right, thank you, Jorge. And maybe to Brendan and Ricardo, what were the main challenges for you to carry out these experiments together?
I think initially, I suppose the biggest challenge for me was around understanding the infrastructure that was needed in order to be able to get the data from the site. So this is a very large manufacturing site, lots of legacy machines, lots of remote sensors and flow meters and gas meters and all of these things. So trying to get alignment, I suppose, with the customer as to what was the right infrastructure to put in place. We have a kind of a standard that we use with all of our other customers, but always there's a conversation with the IT folks, because the IT folks are like, security, cyber, data integrity, all of that kind of thing. So that takes time, and I think that takes probably more time than expected. Always there's a concern from the IT folks that are very familiar with IT networks and IT infrastructure, but aren't really, in our experience, aren't very experienced with what we call OT, on the machine level. And really, with any of these projects, it's about bringing those two worlds together, the IT world and the OT world. So I think that's always a challenge, is to bring the IT folks along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marie. Do you want to ask Brendan, or do you want me to answer?
You can answer as well. There is another question, maybe you can answer in the also regarding the duration of the experiment. So how long did it take for you to do that?
Well, on the first question, well, I think it's related because the experiments were 6 months, right? However, there are different kind of stages. There are different tasks, right? And everything is not as easy, as it looks like, right? Because we have to, for example, put in place NDAs, data sharing agreements, right, with the main company, right? We also have to gather the data. So Brendan had to prepare the data, right, for us. Then we have to replicate and mimic the environment here in CEDAR to just host that data and just start working like if we were in the company, right? So we couldn't meet and see the process there in their company, right? Because it's just with the COVID, it was impossible. And sometimes it's good to go there physically and see, understand, how everything works. So we had to spend some weeks to understand the data. That was key, and that's one of the main challenges. Answering the other question, Brendan had to be there because Brendan is the expert on this one and explain the different processes involved in the spray dryer manufacturing process. Okay, so that was the key part. Okay, once we did that, we had to actually pre-arrange, pre-process the data, small pre-processing, but still had to be done, and arrange it in a database which was suitable more for machine learning. Okay, and prepare like the sort of data lake for the future analytics for smart factory. Once that's done, it's just more trying to answer questions posed by Brendan and just put a limit on what we can do, right, because of time, and then for the future we actually know based on these insights what we could do. So that was, as I said, sometimes you don't start doing modeling right away. The main thing is just understanding the data and putting that into perspective and sort it in the pipeline.
Well, thanks a lot. I don't know if there are more questions regarding the experiments. We have another question in the chat regarding the list of sectors. I don't know, David, if you want to reply to this one or.
Yes, I see there's a question on the list of sectors. Yes, well, as we try to explain, we are open to any manufacturing sector, okay? But the focus on those 4 sectors that we are mentioning in the documents is because the pilot experiments that we have implemented are in those sectors. So the idea is to try to build more synergies also using the sectorial aspect, let's say. Of course, this is not mandatory to be that we don't need all the experiments to be only focused on those 4 sectors that we are mentioning. That's why manufacturing as what does it mean? No, manufacturing in whatever sector are so experiments in manufacturing are welcome. Okay. So, but it's true that the pilot experiments that we have implemented in the project so far, they are around those 4 sectors that are mentioned there. So maybe we don't know. Maybe there are some more synergies if we are also selecting experiments in those 4 sectors, but we are open to any manufacturing sector because also the project is open to any manufacturing sector, so we cannot restrict according to our project to only those 4 sectors that are mentioned there.
All right, so there is another question from Marcus Hao. So can new startups apply to open calls?
Yes, of course. I mean, here we are looking for I don't know if it's a consortium composed of DIH and an SME, which can be a startup. Yeah, this is clear. So yes, briefly answering to the question, yes.
There is another question from I think from Romania. So how can DIH join the DIH-World community through the open call?
Okay, so as I said, so DIHs are or will be involved in the project via the experiments in which they need to have an SME involved or a startup involved in order to implement the experiment. So that's the first part. Then once you have been selected as one of the experiments of DIH-World under this first open call, then you will participate in all the other activities that we were mentioning, the academy, the different events, etc. The different activities that we are expecting from DIHs to implement in the project, apart from the pilot from the experiment itself are also indicated or explained in the guide for applicants. From our perspective, it is clear what we are requesting. But of course, if once you have read these documents, you have any other questions, you can reach out, send us an email, contact us, and we will be more than happy to explain what we mean with all the other activities, as you will see.
All right, so there is another question in the chat. The question is it obligatory that minimum consortium consists of at least one SME and one DIH? Can
Yes.
DIH with a DIH-World project partner apply with an SME in the open call?
No. So it is mandatory that the consortium is one SME and one DIH. And already project partners cannot participate via the open call. This is not allowed by the Commission. This is it goes against the rules of the financial support to third parties, which is what we are applying here in this open call. I don't know if that's the question from. I think Anto Recio has.
Yeah.
Also.
Hi, David. Morning. I have a short question. Is possible to submit different proposals with different experiments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Of course, we will only select one.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
we want the network to be as wider as possible. But yeah, it's possible. Yes.
It's only funding for one, no?
It's only funding for one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, the idea is really to enlarge the DIH-World community, so with more DIH and more SMEs. So there is another question in the chat from Tanya Luca, which is a question regarding funding. What is the ratio between SME and DIH in the grants?
Okay. If I'm not wrong, the ratio of the we have said it's a maximum up to 95,000 euros funding, and then the ratio between SME and DIH is 70-30%. I think this is also explained there, so it's 70-30. That's it.
Another question regarding the funding from Andreas Martin. Does the funding amount falls under the de minimis rule?
Yeah, well, the funding amount, well, the Commission has this limit for all the I4EMS and SAE projects of being funded with a maximum of 100,000 euros under all the open calls or FSTP activities. Okay, so this is the maximum amount that one organization can receive via different open calls of the projects in those initiatives. So how does it work? So for us, for example, as a project, we receive the proposals, we evaluate them, and as Marie was explaining, so we prepare our ranking, and then we send it to the Commission. And only afterwards is when we discover, let's say, if this restriction of or maximum amount that one organization can receive via this financial support to third parties for those two initiatives is applying to any of the experiments that have been selected. So this means that you can, for example, apply to different open calls from different projects because you don't know if you are going to be selected. And only once you've been selected is the Commission saying if there is this maximum applicable in your case. In our case, we are I don't know how much is 70% of 95,000, but that would be for DIHs the maximum you can get here, and your limit for all the open calls in all projects under I4EMS and Smart Anything Everywhere is 100,000 euros. I don't know if I explained myself or I did a lot of figures.
Or in any case, we will include this question in the frequently asked questions document,
Okay.
so everyone
Yes.
can have the answer. So I think we're reaching out the time of our session. So we've replied to all the questions received. I don't know if there is any last one. Otherwise, I will just thank our speakers for today. I will invite all the people attending to stay connected with the DIH-World project, to stay in touch and to visit the website. And yeah, thank you everyone for the session, and have a good day.